Welcome to another podcast of the Only Way channel. In this podcast, we have something a little different going on. We're going to have our dad tell a story from his past, a story that might relate to some of you guys and a story that might not, but it's a story that
Personal.
it's a story that he didn't really open up to many people at the time. And in fact, his family right now, us, we're some of the first people to know about it, and you guys would be the second. So this story might be something that you might have experienced, but maybe you're hesitant to share, and hopefully this can inspire you to share, and at the end, we'll relate this back to God. So, you ready for sharing your story?
All right. So yeah, like my son just mentioned, it's a personal story that hopefully many others through this video can kind of gain some kind of courage to talk about something personal, like anything that has maybe been embedded inside the deepest part of your mind where you don't want to remember, and that has happened to many people. I mean, if it's a traumatizing experience, it's going to be something that maybe you don't want to talk about. Maybe it's something that we just try our best, especially when it's traumatic, to try to erase it. And erasing it is not necessarily the best thing you could do, because eventually it's going to be the thought, at some point in your life. But talking about it, releasing it, and maybe helping someone else is probably the best way to kind of heal. It's to talk about, expressing your emotions. So for me, this was a story that transpired when I was in high school. I believe, I was in my senior year. So my senior year was a very interesting year because we had the senior projects. We also had so many trips to take to be a part of. It was supposed to be a year where you do all these extra things so that you can meet your goal, which is to basically graduate from high school and then set your path to go to college if you want to do that. So all of that was going through my mind. All of that was going through. The senior project was a big deal, and if you don't do that, then you don't graduate. So you had that in my mind, and then marching down the aisle, practicing. And then for me, it was my mom was hardly ever into the school like that because she was always busy. My dad was always busy, always working, and my mom, believe it or not, was actually taking care of my little brother at the time, so she was always busy. I had four brothers, so my family was pretty huge. So there was a lot of things that I always felt like I was alone in everything I did. When it came down to your emotions, excuse me, your emotions, like maybe having your first girlfriend, or there was just so many obstacles that I was facing in high school that I did alone. I didn't really have an older brother. It was just me. I was the oldest. So I ran to myself. I was basically my best listener, for everything that I went through in life around that time. So, what I'm about to tell you was something that I always thought that it would never be me. It could never happen to me, You could always maybe hear it in the news, but never me. And, sometimes things happen for a reason. And this reason at the time, I didn't understand what this reason was for, But our testimony is to help others also heal in life as well. Our experiences is something that can help bring a heart together, because it's some of our hearts are broken, and they're broken because we don't have anyone to talk to, and sometimes they're so embarrassing to talk about, and we rather just not talk about it. This is something that you don't talk about. This is something that you just keep it moving. If you're a man, this is something that you don't talk about. So for me, being a kid, I think I was maybe 17 years of age, and I was graduating that year, but I was also turning 18 in September, so that's why I was 17. So there was a guy who he was like a teacher. He was like a teacher, but he also had like a very important role in the school. And like I said, I blurred the heck out of that image away from my brain to never be remembered ever again. But I feel like now in this time and day, I think it's something that you should share. So that's why I'm sharing it with you guys. And I really, really hope that if this is something that you may have went through in your life, that maybe you might engage in the comments down below and kind of like, tell me how did you heal, and just share it. Just share it. But yeah, this guy was a very important guy. He was a teacher, and if you saw this guy, you would have never thought. You would have never thought this guy was anything but a teacher, a very respectable, honorable person, right? And a lot of them are like this. A lot of them are like this, but deep down inside, everyone, I guess, in this type of setting has a secret. And this guy had a secret that I did not know anything about, and nor did I invite myself into it, because I was just being a teenager. I was being a teenager, minding my own business. I was into wrestling at the time, and I still am into wrestling. And this guy, he was also helping me with my senior project. That is why this relationship kind of like blossomed, because he was helping me with my senior project. He liked me, right? He liked me as a student. So I didn't think anything about it. I thought this was the coolest relationship, a student with a teacher. And he invited me. I'm not sure if it was, I think it might have been a Friday, where he invited me to his house. And I didn't think anything weird about this. I thought it was okay. It must be my lucky day. I'm actually invited into this teacher's house. That's cool. And again, I used to always see this guy. We used to always talk, and he used to always ask me about my aspirations. Where do I see myself? When I get out of high school. All the important questions that a teacher would ask, he was asking always. And I felt like he cared about me. I felt like he was just trying to get to know me. He was trying to be a friend and a mentor, And little did I know that there was more to it. There was more to it than just those surfaced conversations. And he gained my trust. He gained my trust. And I remember, getting in the car with him. I had a few CDs, because back then we used to buy CDs, and I had a few CDs of like rappers, because I was into hip hop at the time. I think I was into Bone Thugs and Harmony, if you guys can remember that, and you guys probably do not, but that was one of my groups that I used to listen to. Bone Thugs and Harmony, Biggie. And I remember him asking me a question about them, like why do you listen to that kind of music? And I told him it's just the culture. Like I really like the culture. At the time, it was what I was around, so it was like something that was embedded. It was rooted in me, that hip hop was like my way of actually expressing my feelings, because I would listen to these artists express how they're going through in life, and for me it was relatable. So they were like talking to me. So for me, I was able to kind of like be a good person, but also listen to what these artists had to say, and like it used to help me escape. A lot of my problems in high school was a lot of them were me by myself. So I didn't have anyone to talk to. So I would listen to hip hop, and it would really like keep me civil, I guess, instead of making me a rebel, which there were times where I was, but it kept me whole. And yeah, that changed a whole lot. That lifestyle for me left a long time ago. But he was asking me about my CDs that I had, that I remember having in a bag in the car, and he took me so far away from where I lived, and it was like we were going into the suburbs, and This was my first time going into the suburbs that I can remember. And it was just a very long drive. And he would be very quiet. And I didn't think anything weird about it. You know, I'm going into this guy's house, and you know what? I don't even know why I was going because I don't really remember the reason. And then I remember we got to his house, and it was a really nice, beautiful looking house. There was trees everywhere. It had a driveway, and he was instead of taking me through the front. He was taking me through the back of the house. And again, I didn't think anything weird about it. I thought it was like something, normal. I was being taken into his house from the back instead of the front. I should have been alarmed, but I was kind of when I was young, I was never really looking for the worst in someone. I was always trying to kind of give them the benefit of the doubt, just innocent, until proven guilty. So I was a very friendly person. So I was never really looking like, oh, this guy's a weirdo. Nah, not at all. That's not the kind of feeling that I got from him at the time. So I remember, we entered the house, and I think, like I said, we entered through the back, which led to the kitchen. And if I could recall, there was like an island in the middle that divided the dining room and the kitchen. And I remember he was like, "So you're into wrestling?" And I was like, "Yeah, I like wrestling, right? Like I'm talking WWE, okay? Like not any kind of other wrestling. I'm talking like WWE, okay? Like
Fake wrestling on the bed.
like, and then mind you, again, this is a grown man asking me about wrestling, and then he was asking me about wrestling moves, and he wanted me to show him a wrestling move, and I'm like, okay, I can put you on the ankle lock. So I try to not make things weird because at that point it was kind of weird. At that point I started feeling kind of like, why are you asking me these questions? Like,
I thought we were here for my
like
senior project.
yeah, I thought we were here for like my project or something. Like, and I even forgot about what my senior project was about, to be honest, because again, this was a traumatic experience for me. I didn't even want to remember, but I remember that he wanted me to show him a wrestling move, but instead of me showing him a wrestling move, he came from behind me and tried to bear hug me, and he had me like almost close to the like I was almost close to the floor, and he tried to bear hug me, and like I felt kind of like that felt very, very weird. Like he was trying to like push up on me in that sense, right? A bear hug is when you grab someone and like, you just grab them tight, right? In wrestling, you probably might see a big guy do that. Yeah, like
Submission is they tap
or it's almost like you're getting ready to suplex someone like that, because he came from behind me. No, that's not what he did. What he did was like he was really like push up, like he was trying to do something very off, and it was like it gave me a very weird, very weird feeling. Like I was like, if something's about to happen right now, what do I do? I'm in the middle of nowhere. I don't know where I'm at. Okay, I don't even know I don't even know the address of this guy's house. And like I did have a cell phone with me, but again, like I didn't want to think that I was in danger. I don't even think my mom knew that I was actually, that I actually went to this guy's house. And again, I didn't think anything bad from it. It was just my teacher, right? And again, he was just trying to show me, trying to teach me, or whatever he was going to do in my senior project. I guess help me, right? But no, those were not his intentions. And I remember as he was holding me like bear hug, right, out of the blue. But I want to say this was like right time, right place. His wife was knocking on the door, on the back door. Instead of the front door, she was knocking on the back door. And she knocked on the back door, and he was startled. Like, he didn't expect her to be there. And he like automatically like let go of me, and he went to open up the door, and she was like, "Oh, hey, what's going on in here?" What's happening?" And he was like, "Oh no, it's just my student. You know, we were just talking about like the senior project, and he was just talking to me about, you know." And I already knew right then and there this guy was up to no good, because we were not just talking about the senior project, okay? Nothing that we were talking about was educational whatsoever. It was about you wanting me to show you a wrestling move, but instead you were trying to show me your wrestling move. Hey, he was gonna put me in Suplex City for sure, man. He was Suplex City, and I might have not been up afterwards. I probably would have been like, "What the heck just happened?" Yeah, I probably would have been on some creeper's basement. Never to be thought of again. Like, whatever happened to this guy, you know, like I didn't even think about how bad. You see, in that moment, I didn't think about how worse things could have got. Like I tried my, cause like from that moment he was like, "All right, now we gotta go. We gotta go now." So I was automatically like, "It's time to go." Like I felt like I was a hindrance. Like, dude, you invited me to your house, and now I'm like a hindrance. Like, oh no, it's time to go. And his wife was like, "Okay, I'll see you when you get back." And like she probably was like, "What in the world just happened?" She was probably like thinking about that too. But I was like trying my best not to think about it. And I remember getting in his car, and the ride back home was weird. Like, we didn't even say much to each other. And I was like deep down inside, I was worried for my life, because I was thinking to myself, like, you know, what is this guy gonna do? Like, he might, like, he might fail me, right, on my senior project, even though he's helping me. Like, it was kind of weird. He might not help me with my senior project. Like, I was just thinking of a lot of things, and I was thinking, like, you know, this is weird, and I can't wait to get back home. And I'm not going to talk about this to no one. And I remember throughout the whole entire time of that year, I would avoid him. I would avoid him. I didn't want to talk to him. I didn't want to talk about the situation. I wanted to erase that from my brain, basically, and I kind of did for so long, for so many years. I kind of like erased that from my brain. I even forgot about the guy's name, because that's how traumatic it was. It was a moment in my life that I felt really like embarrassed, and like I felt like I was humiliated in that sense as a man. Like, I'm not a man at the time. I was 17, but you know, I'm a teenager, and that's not the way I roll. You know, like, my dad never did that to me. My mom, like, nobody in my family ever treated me that way. Nobody in my family. And this stranger, if I would have told my dad, who knows? You know, but again, it could have been worse. It could have been like, you know, his words against my words. You know, here I'm just a minority. You know, like, who's gonna listen to me? And I'm, you know, like, from where I lived compared to where he lived, like, he lived somewhere really, really nice, and you know, I didn't live where he lived. You know, so. Yeah, I felt weird. I felt weird, and I don't feel bad talking about that right now. I felt like I should have talked about this a long time ago, but I feel like it's an experience that many people have went through in life, and a lot of us have kept our mouth closed, and we you know, it's embarrassing to talk about something like this. You know, basically another man trying to push up on you, and not for the right intentions. If that's even, like, there's never really a good intention for a man to push up on you. It's very humiliating. It's a very humiliating experience, and it was very traumatic for me at the time. And again, I didn't have anybody to talk to about this, so I kept it to myself. And I'm happy that I didn't go any further than that. Like, but I kind of felt like my senior year was jacked up after that. I didn't even want to graduate. I didn't even want to graduate because I felt like like I was gonna fail because this guy, I felt like he probably was like, I'm gonna make his life worse because now he knows something about me that no one else knows. That's what I felt like, and I could never look at him anymore. It was awful. So now coming to looking back then, and me now, years, and I'm saying years later, it's been a very long time. That's a long time. I would never want for you guys to experience anything like that. But looking back, it just goes to show that Jesus is always there for you. He is always there with you. God is always there for you, and you don't even when you don't expect it, or you're maybe not even into it. But let me tell you something. There's always someone praying for you. There's always someone praying for your safety. And I know that at that time, my mom was always praying for me. My grandmom was always praying for me. And I felt like it's because of them I was saved. It was because it was like right time, right place. If that lady, his wife, would have never knocked on, first and foremost, knock on the door, I would think she has a key. She knocked on the door, and he had to open up the door for her. If none of that would have never happened, or okay, like if things would have gotten further into whatever he had in mind to do, like what could have happened? Like things could have went sour real quick, and I could have gotten hurt, because this guy, he literally had me. Like he literally had me in his house. And there are so many stories today where a lot of things like this happen to teenagers or kids, and they go missing. And I'm probably going, beyond right now, but like there has been stories where people have gone missing, and I could have been one of them. Because like I said, it could have been worse. But God is always there for you. There's always someone watching out for you, looking out for you, making sure that it's not going to get that far. And I wanted to read a scripture. Well, actually, one of the scriptures that I say a lot is Romans 8:18, where it says, I do not consider our present suffering worthy enough to compare to the glory that will be revealed to us. So, like, now that I'm a follower of Christ, when I look back and I have had so many different experiences, but those are one of them right there that was traumatic to me. That's nothing. That is nothing compared to the glory that God has for us. Because if we are one of His followers, we're gonna follow no matter what. And even when you didn't even think He was following you, He was there for you that whole entire time. Like God loves you so much that He thought about you before you even thought of anything. And He knew that He was going to help you just for this moment, just for right now. And one of the scriptures in Matthew, this is Matthew chapter 28, verse 20. Says, this is Jesus when He was talking to His disciples, says, teaching them to observe all things whatsoever I have commanded you, and lo, I am with you always, even unto the end of the world. Jesus is there. He's always been there for me, and He was there for me when I didn't even know I needed Him. Again, I was a very friendly person. I never looked at anybody like they were bad or they had some evil agenda. I always looked at people like, like you're good. Like I maybe I was naive, I'm not sure, but I didn't think the worst in people. I always gave them the benefit of the doubt. And this man was out to harm me, and he did. He kind of did, because he kind of put a scar in my senior year. All I can remember of my senior year was that moment, because that was traumatic to me. And when you mention my senior year, that's what pops in my head. And if it didn't bother me, it wouldn't pop in my head. But it pops up in my head because it was a traumatic experience that I don't even know how I slept that day. I don't even know how I slept that day.
Or if you did.
Or if I did, right? And I'm pretty sure this is something that you want to talk about, especially to your mom and dad. Like this guy I guess if you want to call it assaulted me, I'm not sure, if that's what you call it. But like, I would never do that to a kid, and let alone bring someone who your wife doesn't even know to your house. Like, that's weird. That's like me bringing some stranger into this house and you never met before, and you're like, who are you? Like, I would love to know what she thought of the situation. And here's the thing. This is the reason why we must talk about experiences like this with people, because, I didn't say anything, and who's to know he didn't try this again with someone else. That means that someone else also had to suffer through that. But enough of me talking. I would like to kind of bring it here with my kids and ask them, like, if they have any feedback. What do they think of this? And yeah, let's see. Let's turn the mic here.
Yeah, I mean, we've definitely have heard this story before, but every time hearing it again, it's crazy to think that something like that happened to my dad, because it's like a lot of the times when you hear stories like this and the people who this had happened to, they're scarred for life, and they really don't ever go back to the same how they used to be. And it's like, if you would have never told us a story, I would have never have thought about like that happened to you in a million years. I never have thought about it, because you don't act like something happened. You're not scarred like that. You don't show it, at least. Maybe you think about it, but you don't show it, at least. And yeah, it's just it's a crazy story, and it should also be this story to you guys should definitely be something that you guys really take in and understand it, and it should help you guys be a little bit more aware. Definitely aware, because this happens to a lot of people in this day and age. It's just, unfortunately, there's just people out there who like doing that stuff, and
predatory things.
It's just unfortunate, and hopefully they will stop doing that stuff, and eventually, hopefully, one day there won't be any more of those people. But it's definitely something you guys should be aware on. This happened to him, and he doesn't wish it upon anybody else. And so you guys should definitely take this, and if you ever have somebody in your life like that who you just or maybe something like this similar happened to you, and it's like it's like escalating, you're kind of suspicious a little bit, maybe flee, tell somebody about it, get the problem fixed, because you don't ever want to go down that path, because what happened with my dad, it was pretty bad, but it could have got worse. And if it would have got worse, it would have left a really big scar on him. And who knows, maybe we wouldn't have even been here right now, because of how much of a scar it would have left on him. So when you're going down that, when you just know, like,
That's where mental health stems from.
That's exactly, and that's why a lot of people struggle with mental health, is just because what they went through as kids, what they went through when they were younger. And so it should definitely just be, like, to me, this whenever he tells us this story, it's definitely like a click in my mind. It's like, okay, I have to be. This is why he tells us. This is why we just have to, in general, as people, be more aware, and you should never judge anybody. We're not the judges here. Only God is the judge. But you should definitely be aware. Just definitely understand, and be more aware of the people that you're surrounded with. And like I said, if you ever feel like somebody is like you don't feel right. You just don't feel right. You should definitely tell somebody about it. Don't let it go down too far, because when you go down that path, it's really hard to come back up. And I wouldn't know, because I've never experienced something like that before in my whole life. They always, my parents always kept us safe, always kept us together. I do definitely have some stories that maybe we'll tell in other episodes, but nothing like that for sure. And I know that he has a lot more other stories too.
So one of the key things to stand out from that story that I've noticed different this time, actually thinking about it and listening to it thoroughly, is the fact that, like, we as people, I mean, especially as kids, we don't really, like, we kind of doubt whether it's really that bad in the moment. It's like, if he was really gonna do something to you, that would have been the end of your story. But in the moment, when you were feeling that way, you could have ran. You could have did so many things. And it's like we like to assume, as kids, we like to assume, like, oh, it can't happen. Not to me. It's not gonna happen. And we kind of just freeze. There's just, we talk a lot about fight and flight, but humans especially in this modern age with all these mental problems and stuff. We develop this new third stage of just freezing when stuff happens. And it reminds me of a moment when I was on the bus with Maeli one time. We told you guys about this, but there was this guy on the bus and he got arrested on the bus. Like the police cars came, he got arrested on the bus. And I remember in the moment I was thinking like we could run out the bus. Like you don't know what this guy's gonna do, but we kind of just froze. We kind of just stood there. Like who knew if that guy just had something in his pocket and decided to take someone hostage and we were the closest ones, but we just froze and we were like. We were hoping that nothing would happen, but what if something did and we didn't run? The safest option would have been to ran out the bus and just walk to school, but we just kind of froze there, and it's just as kids like this is something we need to be careful as for this generation, and because when you're an adult, it still can happen to you, but it's less likely, and especially as a kid, you're more prone to just freezing in the moment of action, in the moment of where it matters, when it matters most. At this day and age, we're more prone to freezing than fighting or than flighting. So, as kids, if you're watching this, if you're not even kids, as teenagers, if you can relate with this, when you're in those moments, just really, really try to bring the whole situation together and really investigate it. If it really seems like it's that bad, which we're always going to tell ourselves it isn't, which is the sucky part, is that we always have that, maybe this is a good thing, or yeah, maybe it is a good thing, the fact that we always have this hope. I mean, hope at the end of the day is a good thing. It's a virtue in the Bible. So I don't know if this is a bad or good thing, just be aware of it. Be aware of your body is always going to tell you that maybe this won't happen to me, or maybe it will. That's what I took from that story. That was different from the other times I've heard it. But I'm gonna pass this back on to my dad, and he's gonna wrap it all up.
I just want to reiterate how important it is to love yourself, because there were many, many moments in life where I felt hopeless, and I felt like I was my only listener. And because of that, I would always go to the darkest part of one's mental health, which wasn't recognized then as mental health. Again, none of that even existed at the time because it was an embarrassment, So like things like that were humiliating in life around that time, you don't talk about that. You just keep it moving. And you either grow or you go to a corner and yeah, like like I bottled up a lot of unfortunate feelings, and that is no way to live. And it's just by the grace of God that I am alive today, able to talk about this, because even though at that moment I wasn't like violently harmed, but a lot of the games that the enemy plays is in your head. And those games are the ones that ultimately become the forefront of something tragic. They become the forefront of something tragic, and then we wonder why. That happened to this person. Like why did this person commit suicide? He or she seemed like a nice person. What happened? And they would never know. They would never know because you never shared the traumatic story of your life. Like you kept it all inside, and because of that, it ate you so bad. It ate you from the inside out, and you committed suicide. Because sometimes I feel like back then in that time, as far as the way I was thinking, it was easy. It was easier to just not be here anymore. It was easier to think like maybe my problems would just go away if I wasn't here anymore, and that is no way to think. And I am so glad that there was always someone praying for me. I am so glad that God loves me. He loves me so much that he sent his only son to die on the cross so that I may one day be able to have life, eternal life. And that is the hope that we can all have is knowing that this suffering that we go through right here it's temporary. It is temporary compared to the long life that we have ahead, compared to the best life that we have ahead, according to His promise. It's just temporary. It is temporary, and it's not even. Listen. The flesh is weak. The flesh is weak, and we're gonna go through a lot. We're gonna go through a lot. We're meant to go through a lot. And as the times of this generation gets worse, you know, we're gonna suffer. We're gonna go through some moments, you know, but never question the existence of God, and never doubt the relationship that He has with you, because He has one with you. He has one with me. He loves you so much that He will make sure that if there's anybody out there doing any harm to you, that eventually they are going to get theirs, because God is a vengeful God, and He's gonna make sure that He takes care of His people. Okay, He's gonna take care of you, but that's not for you to worry about, because all you should be thinking about right now is making sure that you are loved, and make sure that you understand you are loved. And if you are going through anything in life, make sure you share it. Make sure you talk about it. You know, maybe you went through it already and you're like, what is there to talk about? It's already done and over with. No, that is not the way to think. Because by you talking about something like this, or anything that has been very traumatic in your life, you might help somebody. You might help somebody gain courage, enough courage to probably talk about it too as well. Because the only way, again, to bring it all home or mend a broken heart is talking about it. Talk about it. What's bothering you? Especially when you're in high school. I'm pretty sure in high school, we go through so much. And those years are very important. They're either going to make you or break you. They're either going to prepare you for college or prepare you for the workforce. You know, they're very important years. So if you're going through something, talk about it. Let's sit down. Let's talk about it. If you have a friend, talk about it. Talk to your friend. There's a scripture. It's 1824 Proverbs. 1824 Proverbs, where it says, as a matter of fact, let's go to it. Let's go to it. Proverbs 18:24. Very important one. What?
Page 800.
Page 800.
750.
What? Well, my Bible only goes up to page 500.
Let's see if Proverbs. Here we go. 18:24. Let's see if you were right, JJ. Let's see if you were right. That's 965. 18:24. A man that has friends must show himself friendly. Okay, I was already practicing that because I was always friendly to many people. I had so many friends, and I was always showing myself as a friendly person, because it was always the benefit of the doubt. I could never see wrong in people. My dad always told me to be respectful, and that's how I was. And then it also says here, and there is a friend that sticketh closer than a brother. All right. 18:24 says, a man that has friends must show himself friendly, and there is a friend that sticketh closer than a brother. That is basically telling me now, I wish I knew this then, that is basically telling me now that if I don't have a brother, that's fine. Because even if I did, there might be this one friend who might be closer to me than my own brother. There's always going to be someone there who cares about you. Okay? Someone cares about you. You have somebody there who loves you. It doesn't have to be a brother. It could be a friend. And that friend, if you listen, your best friend is the one who's actually there for you when you need them. Okay? When you need them, that's the one that's reliable right there. That's your friend right there when you need them. When you need them the most, that's a true friend, okay? And if you feel like nobody's there for you, try. Give it a shot. Try. Ask for help. Tell someone, that, listen, I am going through something. My mind ain't right now. I can't even think right. And trust, someone is going to be there for you. Someone is going to be there for
If
you.
there isn't, you always got God.
And if there isn't, you always got Jesus. Because Jesus,
The friend is really referring to.
huh?
I said I think that's the friend it's really referring to.
Yeah. The Father, the one and true Almighty, from the beginning to the end. He created you. He created everything around you. Everything around you is beautiful because He created it for you. Your life is different than my life, but at the end of the day, we could all relate when we share experiences, whether good or bad. If you feel anything for me because you heard my story, that means that this was relatable to you. That means that this touched you. And I'm thankful for you to even be here right now watching this video. Please make sure, guys, we're over here trying to grow, but not just for us, but I'm talking for the world. We're trying to promote the word, the word. If you are here right now and you watch this whole entire video, make sure to like, make sure to sub to the channel, and also comment down below, guys.
If you have any experiences like his, maybe, or if you just have any experiences, you know, anything maybe you guys went through that might be similar to what stories we have had. Just like let us know your stories down there, or maybe even topics that because to be honest with you, he had so many stories in his life. If you just throw out a topic out there, he probably has a story for it. So just let us know what you guys think about the story, and yeah.
Let us know if you guys want to hear more stories, because it's not just about me. I share my experience so that they can also, if they have if my kids have anything they want to talk about that maybe I never heard of, maybe they'll talk about it next time. But we're closing it now. We're closing it down. Thank you everyone for watching, and enjoy the rest of your day for whatever time it may be. It may be night or day. I'm not sure. Enjoy it. Thank you.